Good evening. The February 24th, 2014 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairman Ansello?
Here.
Mr. Barra?
Here.
Ms. Boyce?
Here.
Mr. Howland?
Here.
Mr. John Lightfoot?
Here.
Mr. Willie Lightfoot?
Here.
Mr. Michike?
Here.
Ms. Taylor? Here. Mr. Yolovich?
Here.
Is there anyone signed?
Yes, we have one speaker signed up. Speaker will have 2 minutes in which to address the committee and kindly conclude your remarks when the timer sounds. Thank you for your cooperation. Our speaker is Nathan Van Loon.
We'll give him a few seconds here, but it appears he's not here. We'll move on, yes. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the January 27th, 2014 minutes before you. They'll stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Okay, the next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral 14-0062.
Moved by Legislator Michike, seconded by Legislator Boyce. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barra.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, just for my clarification, am I correct to assume that the entirety of the grant funds of $125,000 goes into Fund 9300, Fund Center 250701, a bunch of zeros? Would that be correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you.
Legislator Boyce?
Yes, through the chair. You are. I assume you're from the DA's office. And secondly, could you tell me specifically what the investigator does in aiding our police agencies in these thefts?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. My name is Dave Marion. I am the Chief Administrator of the District Attorney's Office. The investigator who is assigned to this grant aids police in a variety of ways. The specific ways that I am not entirely aware of at this time, I can look into that and actually put a memo together and get back to you. You can.
Commander Dave Phelps from the Sheriff's Office. I was previously assigned to this unit. The DA's office has a district attorney as well as an investigator. They're in charge of coordinating the task force. And so we have regular meetings once a month where the investigator and the prosecutor are responsible for coordinating different county investigations and assisting the task force with direction and developing targets to pursue.
Thank you, Commander Phelps. And through the chair, just to follow up, in addition to the Monroe County Monroe County Sheriff's Office, is RPD involved in this as well?
Through the chair, they are, as well as the insurance fraud unit and a number of town agencies, which are connected statewide to all of the other agencies across the state, okay. And DMV investigators as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next item.
Referral 14-0063.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? Legislator Barath.
Thank you. Through the Chair of the Administration, first I just want to say congratulations on achieving a new grant. That's always a good thing. My questions are twofold. One is, how were the 7 participating agencies selected? Was it a question of need, a question of the agencies volunteering, or how were they just selected?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, each of our local police agencies in Monroe County, in addition to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, were canvassed via letter. The agencies self-selected by responding to the letter along with the needs that they had for the new equipment.
Thank you. And then through the chair to the administration, am I correct to understand that essentially the DA's office is going to purchase the video recording equipment and then distribute it to these 7 agencies? At that point in time, do these video recording instruments belong to these agencies?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Referral 14-0064,
Moved by Legislator Yolovich, seconded by Legislator Howland. Any discussion? Legislator Boyce.
Yes, through the chair, if I could, do we have a report indicating the, both the breakdown of the monitoring of both medical and mental health? And if you don't have it, Commander Phelps, that's fine. You can get it to me when you, if you do have it.
Through the chair, Kristen Musso for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I'm sorry, we're going to have to get that for you.
That's fine. Thank you, Kristen.
Any other? Legislator John Lightfoot.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. To the administration, my question goes along with my colleague, Legislator Boyce. However, it adds a little more too. I was interested in finding out what type of reports we may have available for this company that we have contracted with for the last 7 years. I know at one time I had asked for a report. I was informed that the reports are online, but I suspect that these may not be available. So while my colleague has asked for the report for, a 1-year report or so, I was more inclined to ask for a 3 to 5 year history of reports. But however, through you, Mr. Chairman, my question to the administration is, are you able to give us some insight of what those reports may be telling us, and what type of trends we may be finding in our jails?
Through the chair, I'm sorry, I guess I need something a little bit more specific. Could you maybe put it in writing, and then I could get a response to you?
No. What you, Mr. Chairman, I would not be putting anything in writing. I just request that we get a copy of the report of the medical and mental health services provider. It states here that they will be providing reports for the services that they give us, and I just request for the last 3 minimum 5-year of the reports that were given. To you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, Legislator, are you looking for specific information about how many injuries inmates sustain, illnesses, and things that I'm not quite clear on the question, but I'm certainly happy to get that for you.
Yes, to you, Mr. Chairman. It says here that the provision of written reports and recommendations regarding the performance of the medical and mental health services provided to the inmates in the custody of the sheriff for the period of April 1st, 2014 through March 31st, 2015. So the years prior to this new contract, I would suspect that there were some type of reports, written reports specifically, given to the Sheriff's Department with recommendations regarding the performance of the medical and mental health services provided. And I would like a copy of that report. That's what I'm asking. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman? Do you, Mr. Chairman?
If the,
Reports.
is there such a report?
Through the chair, I will, Mr. Lightfoot, I will give you a call and make sure you get the information you need, and clarify with our jail. We really need our jail management to answer those questions. They have all that information and everything you're looking for. We'll make sure you get the answers you're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Commander Phelps. Thank you.
Occasion. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Referral 14-0065,
Moved by Legislator Howland, seconded by Legislator Taylor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0066, acceptance.
Moved by legislator Taylor, seconded by legislator Mitchell. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item.
Referral 14-0067.
Moved by legislator Mitchell, seconded by legislator Boyce. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0068.
Moved by legislator Boyce, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0069, accept.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, seconded by legislator Howland. Any discussion? Legislator Barath?
I was wondering if there was a reason for what the discrepancy between the amount on page 1 of $18,760 and the amount being appropriated of $17,760. I was wondering if that was perhaps $1,000 going elsewhere, or perhaps it's a simple clerical error.
Through the chair, Jennifer Curley from the Sheriff's Office. No, we had already budgeted $1,000 in the 2014 budget, so I didn't need to appropriate the full grant amount.
Excellent. That leads to my second question then. Through the chair of the administration, is the total appropriated amount then $18,760 plus $7,669, or approximately $26,500 through the chair?
The total appropriation should be the $1,000 minus the total. So the total of the grant is $18,760. I think I'm doing that off my head. And so we've budgeted $1,000 in the operating. So we need today to be approved for the $17,460.
Okay. Thank you.
Legislator Boyce.
Yes, through the chair. Now, is my understanding that at one point this was 2 separate programs? Okay, so can you give me a little perspective as to the amount that's being granted for this? I mean, it sounds like, was it less money? Is it less money? I guess I should say.
Yes, Jennifer Curley again. Yeah, they took the STEP grant, if you remember,
Okay.
Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, and Bunny, which is the Buckle Up New York program, and combined them. I do think they did receive reduced amounts of funding from the federal government, which reduced, so they combined the two together. And I know that what do I want to say? The Buckle Up New York portion of our funding, we're at like 80% compliance with seatbelts in New York State. So I think they're trying to get us out of that. But once they do that, you're going to see the compliance go down. So then, so they're kind of on the edge right now.
All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Yep.
Any further legislator Yolovich?
Mr. Chairman, just as a little bit of a clarification here, the money grants and the STEP grants, when combined together, we're receiving less money than we were previously, but if you were to take them separately, it's more. You're getting more in this grant, but when you put them both together, what we used to get, it's less than that amount together. You understand what the hell I'm saying?
Really?
Yes, thank you.
No, I went through this on Traffic Safety Board, that's why I'm a little bit familiar with it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Referral 14-0070.
Moved by legislator Howland, seconded by legislator Taylor. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barath.
Through the chair of the administration, am I correct to believe that a 2.5% increase is across the board for all of the intermunicipal counties, the other counties? So each of them are achieving a 2.5% increase?
Through the chair, John Clark from the Crime Laboratory. Yes, the 2% increase covers the expenditures for supplies and personnel for the submissions from those counties.
Yes, but through the Chair of the Administration, I just want to be clear that each county that we contract with is experiencing the same 2.5% increase.
Through the chair, no. Those, there are fluctuations in submissions from those counties, so we do a flat 2.5% increase. Essentially, those counties account for about 20% of the submissions to the laboratory, and that's what the total of those contracts covers 20% of the budget.
Legislator Willie Lightfoot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, since the upgrade, if you will, of our new crime laboratories, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, do we see that as a part of this increase? Are we able to service these counties even more? Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration.
Through the chair, yes, we do meet the demands of those agencies, and we've recently added another section to the laboratory, which is digital evidence.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0072, authorized.
Moved by Legislator Taylor, seconded by Legislator Mitchell. Is there any discussion? Legislator Boyce?
Yes, through the chair. I'm curious as to what actually the purpose and the goal of this is, because I guess I'm not, I'm very unclear as to if they're post-adjudicated or convicted. So please enlighten me.
Sure. Bob Burns from the Office of Probation. Through the chair, to the legislator, do you mean what was the purpose of our polygraph testing of sex offenders?
If they're post-convicted, yeah.
Through the chair, most probation departments and parole agencies will conduct polygraph tests on sex offenders to confirm that their answers to us on their regular visits are truthful. And those questions generally are, have you had any contact with children? Have you gone to any libraries, any schools, and so on and so forth. So we are not given truthful answers from time to time. So in the sex offender arena, we use polygraph testing quite a bit.
All right, thank you very much.
Legislator Willie Lightfoot.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Burns, how many post-convicted sex offenders do we currently have in this county who may be have to be administered these polygraphs? Through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Burns.
Through the chair, I can get you the exact number. It fluctuates every day when we get new cases and other cases come off probation. It's in the range from 200 to 300 sex offenders on probation.
Living within this county? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0073.
Moved by Legislator Mitchell, seconded by Legislator Boyce. Is there any discussion? Legislator Barat.
Through the Chair of the Administration, I just want to check. I'm assuming that either are no major officers of the Pretrial Services Corporation for the Monroe County Bar Association, or they simply don't owe any taxes. I mean, we normally list whether or not they owe or not, and it's not included.
Through the chair, I'll certainly double check, but I think in the background material, they absolutely do not owe any back taxes.
I would imagine not, but through the Chair, it's just not simply not listed here is all.
Okay, we'll double check.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 14-0074.
Moved by Legislator Boyce, seconded by Legislator Yolovich. Any discussion? Legislator Boyce.
I have to do my work here. Yes, I'm interested through the chair as to why we switched contractors, and I don't recall who was doing this in the past, so if somebody could provide that.
Through the chair, the contract was changed because the consulting psychologist we've used for many years, Dr. Bonnie Park, retired. So this went to an RFP, and in fact, Dr. Peterson is someone who had previously worked with Dr. Park, so she knows our population pretty well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Burns.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? No, the item carries. Next item.
Referral 14-0075.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, seconded by legislator Howland. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The item carries. Okay. Other matters, I believe Legislator Lightfoot would like to address the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Me and you had some off conversation, and in our last meeting, I requested some information. We actually, since our last meeting, I had a meeting with the director of the 911 Center, and I will say that, first of all, that we're very fortunate to have someone of his caliber, his staff, and our 911 Center. I behoove everyone to maybe do a tour and or have an opportunity to talk with our 911 director. There's a lot of things I won't go into today. I'll just talk about the specific question that was asked about what happened at the last time that the 911 Center had a failure in the facilities. I'll share just some brief notes with you individuals and my colleagues today. However, I wanted to make sure that you did receive my letter because since then we've had another failure of our 911 Center, and I just want you guys to understand why this is so important to me, because I work in this field, and our 911 Center being down for any period of time is critical, especially when there's lives at stake. So I'm watching this very closely, and I'm very passionate about this. So just in brief, I will be have asked that Mr. Mertlinger come back, address the whole Public Safety Committee, because I don't think it's really in my position to speak on behalf of the 911 Center. However, I will share with you my notes. And from the last time, the calls were routed through two different stations. There's one on Plymouth Avenue. There's one on Field Street. The cables to the Field Street location run under the 490 or underpass there and were shorted out during a flood. When this happened, the system automatically rerouted the calls to the backup phones at the call center. However, the system did not communicate that the location had failed. Therefore, calls that went through the Field Street station were going to unused phones, and the callers got busy signals or no answer at all. So imagine calling 911 and getting a busy signal. If they called back and got rerouted through the Plymouth Street station, they would get through a dispatcher as normal. After getting word that the people were getting busy signals or no answers, Frontier was contacted to figure out the problem. It took them 2.5 hours to do so, and the 911 call center stayed on the backup phones for another hour and a half to make sure that the problem was fixed. Frontier loaded a permanent fix, but they still needed to replace some of the cables. Frontier has the ability to direct calls to the administrative cell phones or to radio-based systems if the current system fails. In D.C. and Virginia area, Verizon's entire network went down, which meant no calls of any kind could get through for 14 hours. So D.C. had a very similar problem, but it was much more at a higher scale, and it lasted for 14 hours. The next generation 911 system solves this because all calls will be IP-based and thus could be rerouted to the 911 call center, to any 911 call center in the country. So they're trying to get to this next generation system. So that was the conversation of what happened at that particular time. But since then, we've had another issue.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that he will be able to come maybe to our next public safety meeting and kind of answer anyone's questions, including mine, about is this going to be something that's ongoing? Because it's not just the phone calling. There's some radio issues that are happening, and all police, all fire, we carry our individual radios. And there's some individual radio issues that are going on as well. And, not for nothing, but sometimes that radio could potentially be your only lifeline in the event that you're caught up in a situation. So-
Legislator Lightfoot, yeah, I believe we have some information for you now about what happened the other
Okay,
day.
thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, the incident that occurred late last week with regards to the 911 system was an entirely separate occurrence. It wasn't a repeat occurrence of what Legislator Lightfoot has briefed you on today. What occurred was that there was some maintenance being performed on the computer systems that operate the center, and it inadvertently triggered security protocols in the system. It believed that it was under attack by hackers, so it locked itself down, and it was offline for approximately 1 hour. During that hour period of time, the dispatchers at the 911 center implemented a protocol that they have in place. All phone calls placed at the center were received. They were able to dispatch first responders to any calls that came in during that time frame. And like I said, the system was back up and running within an hour. And it was just it was more of a computer error than anything else.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question, please, Mr. Chairman?
Okay. yes.
Okay, just real quickly, that's my concern. When we ended our contract with Tiburon, we know the issues we were having with our computer system. And these issues seem to all be computer related. And so I just want to make sure that we're doing everything in our due diligence to make sure that we're working very hard and paying very close attention to this. Because this time, both times, we dodged a couple bullets. And, 3 times we strike you out. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I pray that never happens. But nonetheless, it's happening across the country for various reasons. I just want to make sure it doesn't happen here. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I mean, the problem as described was a human-related issue. It was human error that caused the system to go there. I think that the good news about the situation as it developed was that, in fact, the computer system worked as originally designed. It perceived that it was under attack, and it implemented a protocol that's built into the software which locked it off from someone being able to make an intrusion onto the system. And it was quickly remedied. So it's not a matter of the computer system itself really broke down. In fact, it did exactly what it was designed to do. It was triggered by a human interaction that was unintended.
Legislator Boyce.
Through the chair, this is not related to the breakdown, but with regards to when I do make phone calls to 911 in my area, it has a tendency to go to Ontario County. And so I'm wondering if there's a way that we can find out why that would be occurring. And, I mean, it's kind of interesting because when I do call, I'll say, is this Monroe or Ontario? And probably 9 out of 10 times it's Ontario.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we're happy to look into that and
Thank
get
you,
back
I
to you.
appreciate that.
Okay, any other matters? Okay, there being no other matters, the February 24th, 2014 meeting of the Public Safety Committee stands adjourned, and the next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be held Monday, March 24th at 5:30. Thank you.